Yeah, I was just looking around the boat with a very self-satisfied, smug grin on my face because I was quite satisfied with having gotten this clean out. And then I just realized that I was looking at moving on with this, but then I realized I hadn't cleaned this out. Yeah, the galley was out, but I didn't remove the insulation or the paneling. So, yeah, time to do that, I guess. Here we go, I guess. See if I can get the liner out first. Might be easier than it was elsewhere. Doesn't look like it's stuck. Oh, yeah. Perhaps put on gloves the right way. Persuasion coming up. Bit of corrosion, but nothing major. If this keeps up, I'm going to have to bring out the drill. Move in the intended way. Foam everywhere. Let's see how bad it really is. Same picture as in the saloon. Around the waterline, corrosion stops, not entirely, but mostly. Yeah, no, the colors didn't keep going off that. Corrosion. Too bad. More fiberglass. This is going to be difficult, and I want to be careful around the valve through all, because if I break that, then I have trouble, major trouble. seems that the through hull itself is steel. It's good, I guess. It's only the valve that's made of brass. And it's quite corroded, but steel seems okay. Not perfect, not fine, but okay. Oh, I completely forgot about this last pump. Get kind of carried away getting to the hull. I think I'm going to need a massive vacuum cleaner to get all this crap removed. Fine. There. This doesn't look anyway as bad. So it's a great light. Finishing the work, I was left when I pulled out Ophelia's galley and then promptly forgot about the liner and the insulation and all that stuff and moved on to the saloon. Well, that did give me a few insights into how Ophelia is put together, and some of that was slightly odd. For instance, I came across the use of a cement-based fairing compound that was used to smooth over the surface of the liner panels. That does make sense. It was also used to fill out the cracks, the seams between the liner panels, and while being cement-based, it wasn't exactly flexible, and since the panels are made from wood and mounted on a boat, they moved a bit. So when I started poking around, that compound came out in fairly sizable chunks that would be, well, crumbly to the touch. I guess the use of something cement-based can be explained by, well, the passage of time. Ophelia isn't exactly new, and today we would use something polymer-based with a bit of give to it, but it might have been what they had at the time. It was still odd though, because these cracks that were filled were fairly big. They were like a centimeter wide, a centimeter deep, and up to 10 centimeters long. So they must have known that this compound would dry up, harden, and then crack and fall out. Oh well, you might have noticed now that you didn't see this or any of the other small funny things I found on the way. And that's because, well, I have recordings, but I was messing around with a new microphone at the time, and I thought, I'm recording indoors. I'll remove the dead cat and get a good clear sound. Except I was recording right next to the hatch, and yeah, there was a good draft of nice fresh air moving through the boat while I was working. That was all fine and well, but that means that all my surprised outbursts and small words of wisdom about what I found, well, they're all drowned out by wind noise in these recordings. So they weren't usable. At any rate, as you might have seen, well, you did see, I got through it all and onto the hull. And while it wasn't exactly pretty, to my untrained eye, it looks just fine. And speaking of being untrained, if you guys see me doing something that you think I could or should do differently, please leave a comment below telling me so. There's little point in me messing things up and learning that way when I can draw on the experience you guys have instead. Also, if you like this project and what I do here, you can support it by joining my Patreon or signing up as a member of this channel. You can just leave a supportive comment below. I'll appreciate it either way. Anyways, shortly after finishing this work, the shipyard asked me if I could possibly move Ophelia, because they had a few new customers incoming, the ones that would leave some income here now and not at some indeterminate point in the future, so they kind of needed the space right outside the workshops freed up. The harbour master could quickly assign me a new spot, and I got a spot outside one of the other old shipyards. This isn't in use anymore as a shipyard, but it's right where they had their floating dock tied up. So it's one of the deepest points in the harbor. And it's also right outside one of the local sailmakers, so it's a good spot. However, I couldn't find anyone to help me move Ophelia when I had the time, so I had to overcome my anxiety and move her single-handedly. Yeah, it was quite windy when I had to move the boat. I moved it from way over there behind those boats, and up here. And then, as I said, it was quite windy, but the wind helped me by blowing the boat from right out here and just slightly drifted that way, slowly drifted that way. And, well, here we are. She's now tied up in her new place. But we need to do something about the chafing, I think. The moorings already took quite a bit of a beating. The old place, and that wasn't as rough as this one, but I guess no matter what it was, I should have been taking care of that anyway. And we're now here. And that weather change that came with the wind, that showed some of the major issues we do have with Ophelia. She doesn't handle external water very well, not water coming from the outside. She's been taking on quite a bit of water. There we go. And I've been here the last couple of days, every day. And she looks like this. I don't know if the camera shows it that well, but it's quite a bit of water and it runs over. Well, it hasn't done so today, it doesn't look wet, but it does spill over from here, run down here and into the water tank, which now holds quite a bit more water than it used to. So I need to pump it out. That should be easy, right? Just flip on the switch and the pump gets going. Yeah, no, it doesn't. Because, well, I have no power here. I had to take out the batteries. I don't want to leave them here in the boat. It's getting cold, I think, and, well, they're in the way. So I moved them home. So there's not that, and there's no shore power. Because, well, there's a power box there, and the one I'm supposed to use is down there. The brown thing. That's like 50 meters. And I don't have a cable that's 50 meters long. I have this one here, 14 meters, and an extension I made that's 5 meters long, but that doesn't get me anywhere near. So I ordered a new cable, and when that shows up, I'll have to move the connectors from the extension cable onto the new cable, because those connectors, they aren't exactly cheap. I don't really think I'm going to need a 5-meter extension when I have, 14, 15 meters here and 50-meter cable running down there. That should have me set, I think. But yeah, that's kind of an issue with the water. So at some point, I'll need to do something about this and have roof. The problem seems to be, we know we had a leaky roof. The house is not in any way waterproof. You could see that down there. But I also think that we collect a lot of water in the cockpit. And the drains, so you can get down there again, down here in the corner. I'm pretty sure that they're leaking. It's not taking all the water outside, so it should be. So it ends up down in the swamp under the engine. See if I can find those. It should be down here. Yeah, you can see those crossing tubes there. Somewhere around there, it's not waterproof. And then the water goes from here down on the way to the bilge and ends up in the swamp under the engine, where it overflows and ends up in the water tank. So I'll have to deal with that. Right now, I'll get some pumping done and get the water out. There we go. I'll just keep that up for the next 5 to 10 minutes. So why don't I just switch on the electric pump? Well, besides the missing batteries and the landline. Could bring the batteries down here. Yeah, I could. But it seems that in my seal to get stuff removed from inside the boat, I may have cut a wire or something somewhere because the pump doesn't switch on. I tried it before I moved the boat to see if I could just do something, and yeah, it didn't work. So a wire has been cut somewhere. I'll need to fix that. I was thinking that I'm going to bypass the old installation. I'm going to find the converter, 220 to 12 volts, pull that out, give it a new wire, and then connect that more or less straight to the pump. But I need to find it before the transformer converter. It's down there somewhere. Haven't seen it yet, but it's probably behind the control panel, so I hope. And that control panel is somewhere behind this. Well, I know exactly where it is, of course, but I have a lot of my own mess to move out of this place before I can get to it. Of course it catches up with me, but I guess that's the only place that converter can be. So where to put all the crap? I don't know. Guess I'll find out. Yeah, look what I found. I think it's down there. Looks like 2 converters, and it's a right mess. Looks like a bowl of spaghetti and cut wires used to connect to something. Be a fun thing to clean this out, but fortunately I don't have to do that right now. So I found the 220 to 12 volt converter. This thing was stuck back here with that one, which is a 220 to 24 volt converter. So yeah, must have been some plans to turn this into 24 volts. At any rate, 220 input, 12 volt output into the bus bars, onto the blue and brown wires that run back here all the way around, and then come down here. So straight from the converter to the box, which I guess is good. Now I just need to figure out what happens to the 220 volts. I know it comes from here, and this wire goes back here to this thing, and then we have spaghetti, and then there runs back up and disappears. I know I have 220 volts here. Power from land, 220, max 10 amps. Yeah, I'm not going to pull 10 amps, but at any rate, so it does come in here with this in some way, but I have not got the faintest what's going on with this here, and I can't access the input. It's because it's hidden somewhere behind this mess. That's going to be interesting, because I need to track that down so I can bypass all of this crap. One thing I shouldn't bypass is probably the fuse down there, this thing. Other than that, I think I need to bypass everything, because this is a hot mess. And I just need a simple line. 220, 12 to the pump. That's it. Yeah, I'll just grab the extension cord. It just popped out of the mess. I actually put it in a place where I could find it. There we go. Bring that with me home because, well, as I said, I needed the connectors from here, and I don't really fancy going back and getting it when the cable comes. I just want to dig in and get the new cable built. So there we go. can't quite figure out the 220 volts, but it seems like he might actually have used the ground wire on this cable to move it up. So it comes in here, well, phase is here, 0 is here, and then it moves through the gauges and the switch over here, and there doesn't seem to be any wires running out other than this. So the phase is running through the ground wire. Well, that's a big no-no. Don't do that. And then it goes all the way around and disappears somewhere in the engine compartment. This is going to be fun to figure out how that moves once I have power back, because I can't really trace it right now. Oh well. Without access to shore power, there wasn't much more I could do at this point, and unfortunately 50 meters or about 164 feet of marine-grade electrical cable isn't something you find cheaply in a shop around the corner, not in these parts at least, so I had to order the cable online and wait for it to arrive. Next week I'll be putting the cable together with connectors and stuff, and I'll be trying to get the pump under the engine back up and running so I can do something about all that water. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that I'll see you again next week, so until then.